There's an argument to say he should stay with the team for the rest of the year, and I can absolutely see sides of that, and I can side for part of that. There is no argument, in my opinion, for why he should stay for like 1 + 2 years. Like, that's crazy to me.
Like, you don't think he should start 2025?
Oh, God, no. No, he should not start 2025. The thought that they even have a contract where he's possibility in the car for 2026 is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So in terms of if he should be racing after break, he's not going to help them when it comes to constructors. Hopefully he's worked on himself a bit during the summer and he comes back swinging better. I don't, I mean, you know, just,
yeah, no, I hear you.
I mean, I say that, but we saw, you know, the whole Sargent, you know, like he worked on himself over like winter break and he came back the same driver. He was definitely better, but he's not performing. So you think 3 races just to see if Sergio can do it? I would even go as further as saying like, yeah, 6th place. I think, do you think they have to, or do you think they are comparing him to Max when considering if he should stay? Because obviously Max is.
I don't think you
can. Know, he's tracks ahead of Checo.
Yeah, for sure. Right? We know that. But like you're saying,
so are you saying you have to hit this specific placement, or you have to be within Max, right? Because Max is 100% the standard. I
think we're already past the part of being within this window of Max. Sure. I think that was probably already a thing, like you guys have been mentioning all season, and I think that just has passed. And now that they're sticking with him, maybe they're adjusting it.
When it comes to V-Carb needing an extra driver, do they take Liam or do they take him? So it's such a weird
this season
spot
it's Liam
where, like,
for sure.
V-Carb has the pick of their litter, and Red Bull is like there's like a bouncer at the gate. Like who knows who can be let into that seat?
Dude,
it's so weird. It's such a weird situation. There's like too many drivers for V-Carb and not enough drivers for Red Bull.
And I'm starting to think we're not going to know the Red Bull seat until the season's done.
I don't think so.
You know, we're just not going to know.
Yeah.
And technically right now there is no Red Bull seat open. We're talking like there is. Technically there's not. There's a V-Carb seat open, which is where we could see Liam. But I don't know.
To kind of bring Tyler kind of like bring through me for a little bit. Maybe Checo retires at the end of the year. Maybe it's like, you know, they make it a big PR thing.
Nah. Unless they're like,
if he's retiring, it's because they're giving him a ton of money.
I was just saying, unless Red Bull's like, here, buddy, either you retire or you're out of the seat. But you can come out and say that you're retiring, and we're cool with that.
If you retire right now, we will give you the car.
yeah, right?
As a retirement gift.
Get laced up.
Let's go.
It's time for Banter with the boys.
Yo, welcome back to Banter with the Boys, Fast Laps. Back from summer break. We kind of forgot there's a show, actually, but here we are. 2 of us. Mm-hmm. Cole is out busy, and Tyler, as you remember, is going to be taking some time away as he welcomes another children.
Having a kid.
Children into the world. But with us, obviously, is Joe, our co-host. Perfect. Joe, first off, how's your week been? And then I'll have a follow-up question. So, you know, that's the status quo.
Planning for Cole for how my week's been. It's, you know, Tuesday. It's pretty decent weather, you know. I don't have any, you know, I mean, I don't really work outdoors or have anything to do with outdoors, so it doesn't really matter much to me. But
but the weather's good.
Yeah, weather's good so far. Yeah, weather's good so far.
It's good for the car. It's good for your car.
For the car.
Does car feel good with the cooler weather?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I take summer weather over snow any day. And then, Minnesota State Fair is coming up. That's this week as well. So we're, you know, ramping up to some fun, getting close to August.
Are you going to get to the fair?
I am actually. We're doing a team outing at work, so I will get. We'll get there once. Yeah.
All right, sweet. What's your favorite food at the fair? Is it on a stick?
In previous years, it's been like fried pickles.
Different category.
Yeah, it's been like fried pickles or the Sweet Martha's cookies. You just can't go.
Oh, the Sweet Martha's. Yeah, do you get the bucket?
Of course.
The bucket of cookies.
Monster.
So for those that don't know, at the Minnesota State Fair, you get Sweet Martha's cookies. It's a bucket, like an ice cream bucket, kind of. But then they fill that up, and then they pile more cookies on top of it. So you got to eat like 20 cookies, seriously, to shut the thing.
Yeah, 10 to 15 just to shut it. So yeah, I'm normally like I'm having a couple, and then I'm just like a balancing act on the way home. So
a balancing.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a bucket and then spread the wealth amongst my family.
For sure. No, I'm looking forward to the fair too. I will definitely be attending next week. what have you been doing the last 3 weeks since we've been on F1 summer break?
Yeah, F1 summer break. It's, I've definitely weekends have, weirdly enough, I've been doing more like content stuff. So like my weekends have not been any less busy. It's a little bit of a blessing that I was so busy because I didn't have to, find time to watch races or decline things so I could watch the race, which I have definitely done before. But I still got a little racing in. I think it was like first weekend of August. I went to Road America in Wisconsin to see the sports car races. It's where I got this hat and a couple of these stickers here. It was a fun time. Yeah,
Sweet. What do you got? I Heart Road America,
which I think was just given to me.
That's classic.
Yeah, I got this like cartoon anvil thing, and then I also got where I got the hat. There was a McLaren that was driving in the race by Pfaff Motorsports, so that's where I got the hat from.
Okay,
a lot of merch from that booth.
Oh yeah, you bought a lot of merch from that booth?
I bought a lot of merch from that booth, yeah, and I always look out for F1 stuff.
For sure.
I missed a couple of like F1 stickers that I could have gotten. I do have a Lando Norris like kind of cartoon sticker that I'm probably going to put right here. I looked out for hats for you, man, but they were just very low this year. I couldn't find anything.
and finding me an Alpine Gasly hat's probably tough around these parts.
I mean, they had to like usually they have a couple more teams. Like, they at least have like the big four, but like they didn't have anything this year. So
for sure.
Got away with a couple McLaren hats and a few stickers, and I think got like a water bottle or something. Saw some cars race around Road America. It's a really fun track. Yeah.
For sure. Nice. Heck yeah. I know for me in the summer break, it was just I coach high school football here locally, so that has started, and that takes up a lot of my time as well as work. So just, normal stuff for me. But yeah, we're happy to be back. With a Fast Laps episode. If you tuned in, was it last week? I think it was last week. We had an NFL preseason show. Obviously with the NFL season coming up, if you watch American football with the NFL, tune into that.
How'd the first episode go?
It went well.
Good.
We're excited. We're going to have a revolving door of guests. So that's actually exciting.
Awesome.
So, we're just Minnesota fans primarily, but we do talk about the league as a whole. So then rotating guests of different teams. It's going to be a great time this season for sure. But with that, let's get back to F1, obviously, and kind of head to our summer break recap. We're going to call it /news.
Yeah.
/news. Transition. All right, and to start off the news, we're going to start by talking about Alpine, actually. What was his name? Bruno Famin?
Yep.
The interim team principal. We knew he was out heading into summer break, and pretty much, what did you say, right after break is when the Oliver Oaks news kind of hit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, one thing to note that I saw that kind of stuck out to me was that the dude's only 36 years old.
Yeah.
Which is kind of young for team principals.
I have a fun fact, actually.
Lay it on me.
Guess how old Christian Horner was when he became team principal?
I have no idea.
31.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen videos. I was not watching F1 at early when they
How
won.
long has he been team principal? Like 18 some 20 years?
Time.
Yeah.
I think I read 2005 is when he became team principal.
Jeez.
But like around the Red Bull, he was obviously in his 30s at this point, but like when Vettel was winning with Red Bull, he looked like a baby compared to how he looks.
Yeah, now I gotta go look up a picture of him.
Yeah, but 31, yeah, still 36, very young. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Do we see any like big tweaks coming for Alpine with a hire of a new team principal, or is this more or less planning for the future at this point?
I mean, definitely. I mean, probably a bit of both, right? Like Bruno Famin's not supposed to be team principal. He stepped in because Otmar was not doing well. He was never supposed to be team principal.
Is he staying with them? Did he should go back to his? What was his original role? I don't even know.
It was like CTO, like technical.
Okay. Do you think he would go back to that?
I would imagine he would.
Yeah, or at least be given the option to. I would hope.
Yeah, I think I think he was probably fine as team principal. I just don't think he wasn't supposed to be it, and also I don't think he's great for PR either, unfortunately.
Sure,
so
fair enough.
They probably
Which
want
is a
someone,
thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially for F1.
Yeah, 100%. So they probably want someone who is stationed to be a team principal in that spot. Where does Oakley come from? Is he coming from Red Bull?
Oaks, Oliver Oaks.
Sorry?
I don't know where he comes from, but I think he's a former F1 driver, if I'm not mistaken. Which, not to go off topic again with Horner, but did Horner ever race like at the top level of F1?
I don't think he ever raced at the top level, but he definitely raced.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oliver Oaks. Woo-hoo. GP3 a little bit, 2010.
What was his last
British
position?
F3 was in 08, 09.
Okay.
So it's been a minute. But he worked his way up, Formula BMW UK, Formula Renault, Euro Cup, International Formula, and then Formula 3 Euro, and then British
so
F3.
he's been with like Renault and the Euro kind of teams for a while. Okay, that makes sense. So instead of getting swapped over from a different team, he just kind of built his way up to it.
Yeah, that's what
Good
it
for him.
seems like. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know much about Oliver Oaks.
I don't
Sorry,
either. Yeah. Never heard of the guy.
Now that I'm going to try to be an Alpine fan, since Gasly's there for a minute, I guess I should probably figure it out.
Probably, yeah,
So
you
I'll get it
get to know
together.
your
I'll get it
team.
together. Poor fandom.
I mean, we'll learn about him in next year's Drive to Survive.
No, for sure we will. For sure we will, of course. Moving right along here, actually going to talk a little bit about Red Bull. Jonathan Wheatley, Red Bull's sporting director, is set to leave at the end of the season to become Audi's team principal. I think they're going to be called Audi Works. Oh, I did put that later. But then it's just like, well, what about, I don't even remember how to say his name. Binotto?
Matteo Binotto. Yeah,
Binotto.
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 Yeah, I think it's Binotto.
We should figure that out too. Start making a list of names that we need to figure out.
I brought up the
how to actually say it.
pronunciation. I actually looked it up. Like I had the computer speak to me what his name was, and yeah, that was
Binotto.
obviously a summer ago. So
Fair enough.
Binotto or something like that. Yeah. So for a while I actually remember bringing this up. Like I couldn't find if he was supposed to be team principal.
Right.
Or if he was
Yes, I
something
do
else.
remember that.
Yeah, so we talked about this. Apparently he's not being team principal. This guy is. I looked up what his position is, and just like it said beforehand, I thought maybe they were concurrent with each other. Team principal and this, but he's COO and CTO, which is chief operating and then chief technical officer.
So who gets final say, or is it like a board, or how does that work with the F1? You know what I mean?
I would imagine when it comes to like the racing, it's going to be
Like on race day, it's team principal.
It's got to be Wheatley, just like in terms of race decisions, team orders, all that fun stuff.
Right.
I would imagine Binotto is just upper management at this point.
Yeah, kind of oversees the whole thing.
Probably Audi a little bit, but still upper management. So I would imagine he doesn't have a ton of say.
Okay.
But I don't know.
So
I do think he's probably going to be seen a lot more because I think he's good for PR. Like I think people know.
Oh,
his
he's
face.
definitely know his face, and
He's
that's
gonna
all
be like
thanks
the
to
Zach
Drive
Brown
to
of
Survive.
Audi, maybe. So
For sure, I think 100% he is. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that is more of like a PR move, knowing he can probably do the job just fine too. But
yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, his
so-
face is going to be back all over Drive to Survive.
I'm
too.
sure. I'm sure. At least a little bit,
Mhm.
right? We'll see. I mean, Audi might. We still have so much unknown about Audi. Like
I know. It's exciting, actually.
It's getting closer.
It's actually
though. We
exciting.
have, one
I
more
could be a fan of
driver?
that team.
You could.
I should jump on the bandwagon right off the
you should.
get-go.
You
Yeah.
should. I'm going to. Right out the gate, I'm going to be a fan of them.
No more McLaren. Done. Screw Lando.
Whoa. I have too many McLaren hats to do that.
I spent way too much at the
way too
McLaren
much
tent.
money. I basically bought their next car. Okay, I'm not. Yeah, no.
Basically
I'm
bought
gonna
it.
be like, I'm gonna like them though. I don't like hate the brand or anything. Like, so I'm going to automatically like them coming
Sure,
in.
for sure.
I'm excited to see, for the first time, me watching. Well, I guess I saw Aston Martin take over Racing Point, so I guess that's not. This isn't true, but like being as involved in
It wasn't
F1
as
I am-
exciting to me, but
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it
maybe
was,
because we live over here. Maybe it's exciting over there
Yeah,
because Aston.
or
I don't
maybe
know.
it was just because it was. I think maybe we also saw that transition. I saw that transition
Audi's
in
over there
DTS,
too,
right? So I saw it through the lens of DTS
Sure.
and not live. So
so
this
maybe-
Audi thing.
okay.
Now that I'm super involved in F1 and we've been like talking about it for so long, and we're gonna now see it happen live, I think I'm probably a little bit more invested into it.
Well, and when Aston was Racing Point, all I can remember about Racing Point is the whole
The owner and
the whole deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say I can remember it, now I can't remember it. Classic. But you know what I'm talking about.
I know
you know what I'm
exactly
talking about.
what
You
you're
guys know what I'm
talking
talking about.
about.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. Staying with Red Bull though.
Mm-hmm.
kind of as expected, as we kind of talked about already, Checo's seat was safe heading into summer as far as maybe downgrading to a V-carb, downgrade. But, and now, obviously we're back, and that seems to be true. He is keeping his seat in there, backing him up. Is this possibly, I don't want to say a mistake for Red Bull, but like if they want to win the Constructors, and we'll get to McLaren in a second, but if they want to win the Constructors, is this the smartest move for them to keep Checo in the seat over, say, would Danny Rick do any better right now, do you think? Or Yuki? Would that even be a good move? To win the Constructors specifically.
To win the Constructors specifically, he should have been out long ago, I believe. I mean, there's an argument to say he should stay with the team for the rest of the year, and I can absolutely see sides of that, and I can side for part of that. There is no argument, in my opinion, for why he should stay for like 1 + 2 years. Like, that's crazy to me.
Like, you don't think he should start 2025?
Oh, God, no. No, he should not start 2025. The thought that they even have a contract where he's possibility in the car for 2026 is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So in terms of if he should be racing after break, he's not going to help them when it comes to Constructors. Hopefully he's worked on himself a bit during the summer and he comes back swinging better. I don't, I mean, just,
yeah, no, I hear you.
I mean, I say that, but we saw, the whole Sargent, like he worked on himself over like winter break and he came back the same driver. He was definitely better, but he's not performing.
What do you think it is though for Checo? Do you think it's like mental mistakes? Do you think there's more and more pressure, especially now with the new deal in place? Like, do you think he's feeling some of that pressure maybe for the first time since he's been in the Red Bull? Because this is definitely, this season is the worst he's raced in the Red Bull, I believe.
Yeah, it's the worst. I mean, I feel like it's probably the worst he's raced in like a while.
Right.
I can't fact check that, but I'm sure there has been pressure, and I'm sure it's like, I can only imagine the worse you do, the more pressure you get to like perform, to like prove yourself and prove you're worth the seat. To kind of side with him a little bit in terms of why he shouldn't be swapped out. I just feel like it's risky not knowing enough about Danny, Rick, and Tsunoda, seeing them race, and obviously having that to go off of. I think they probably still need a little bit more time to get to that level, maybe.
For sure.
Let's say right out of the gate, Tsunoda and Danny Rick getting points consistently every single race, I think that decision's way easier. They swap Checo in for one of them, and they call it a day. But because they haven't been at that point, and maybe it's the car doing it, either way, I think they both made some mistakes.
Just makes it harder.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it so much harder.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think you give them, and I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
But I think you give them like 3 races, Checo, coming out of break. Like, if you can finish, you got to finish 6th or better.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Checo, you have to. Like, you have one of the better cars, as far as we know, on the grid. We know McLaren's charging, and Mercedes is right there. That's why I'm saying 6th. I think you still have to finish in front of the Ferraris right now.
Sure.
Charles, based on skill, could finish in front of Checo. So maybe I'll give him a pity point for 7th.
Yeah.
But you have to be finishing up there, and we're not seeing it. And if he finishes out of points at all within those 3 races, I think you got to put somebody else in the car. And at this point in the season, let's say it's 3 races from now it's Danny Rick for me. Mm-hmm. If it was coming out of summer break, I'd say Yuki, just to give him a shot, like fresh. And I can't remember when they took, was it Albon out of the car? For
Pierre.
Yeah, they took Pierre out of the car and put Albon in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that during summer break? I can't remember. I know that's really reaching, and I know it's a while ago, but like, I just feel like that's the time for that move.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're serious about the Constructors with how hard McLaren's charging.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking maybe Red Bull isn't serious about it. They want, the championship, and that's it. I'm not sure, though.
Which they probably still will get.
At this
the driver championship?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, no matter what, I think Max is going to take the driver championship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really hoping Lando, or who's the next closest? Is it? I know we just talked about this.
I know,
a few
literally
weeks ago.
the other. Oh, I have it up. I have it up from the last show.
We know Lando's the closest, right?
Charles.
I don't think
Charles is 22 points behind Lando.
I don't think Charles is going to get that, unfortunately, with the Ferrari.
Do you think he could reach Lando? Probably not.
The Ferrari needs to get better. Just straight up. Like, I think Charles as a driver, absolutely he can do
Sure.
it.
But the car,
with the current Ferrari, probably not. So I just want to see Lando get as close as he possibly can.
And just secure second place, iron it.
I just want him to secure second place.
Which would be
and then,
sweet.
Yeah, come back next year in hopefully a good car that can face off to Red Bull. But I think Max probably has it. Kind of just going back to Red Bull as a whole. Yeah, I don't. So you think 3 races just to see if Sergio can do it? I would even go as further as saying, like, yeah, 6th place. I think. Do you think they have to, or do you think they are comparing him to Max when considering if he should stay? Because obviously Max is.
I don't think you
know,
can.
he's tracks ahead of Checo.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
We know that. But like you're saying,
so are you saying you have to hit this specific placement, or you have to be within Max, right? Because Max is 100% the standard.
I think
I
think we're already past the part of being within this window of Max.
Sure.
I think that was probably already a thing, like you guys have been mentioning all season, and I think that just has passed. And now that they're sticking with him, maybe they're adjusting it. Now they're like, oh, now you got to finish.
It's just
where was he in the drivers?
Right?
Because he's got to finish.
He's tumbling, dude.
I know he's in 7th right now. Last I knew, yeah. So he's in 7th. He's 19 points behind Lewis.
Who's behind him?
Who's behind Checo?
Yeah,
George Russell
with
15 points behind him. George will catch him.
Yeah.
If he's not careful. That's why I'm saying it's only 3 races, dude. For me, I think I can only give him 3 races.
I think that's fair. I think they're probably going to give him the rest of the season.
They probably will.
Yeah. And it'll just kind of depend on where he ends up.
If they do give him the rest of the season, they got to swap him. I don't know who you swap him for. I don't think Danny Rick showed me enough this year that, yes, I'm 100% inking Danny Rick to start in the season in the Red Bull next year.
Red Bull is just in like
they're in a weird spot. They're in a weird spot right now.
Really weird spot.
And I mean that leads me into my next thing about Red Bull, kind of like with Newey leaving, with now Wheatley leaving. Does that factor in at all to Verstappen's future? Like, does he care about it that much, or does he just like, I just want a fast car, whoever can give it to me, I'm just gonna drive that thing?
Man, it's so hard to read Max. I think if the other guys were here, they would say that he wants the fast car. But like, I just don't know how committed he is to Red Bull. I feel like he's got to be like really committed. I know there was all the turmoil earlier.
Or would he just retire and be like, I've done what I can do?
No way he's retiring. There's no way. Max races in 2 different.
He signed through 2025.
So he races in 2 different sports at the same time before he retires. He's crazy like that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it obviously helps, but there's a world where Max just doesn't care. Like Wheatley leaves, he doesn't really care about that. You know?
That's what I mean. I don't think he does, but like, should it be a concern though that there's changes happening when you've been producing a championship level car? Like, kind of want that to keep going.
100%. I think, yeah. I mean,
he's still only 26 years old. I thought he was like 29 max.
Yeah,
I feel like we've been watching him forever because we have.
Yeah.
I think he's been at F1 since he's been. Did he race at 18? At the highest level?
Yeah.
I can't remember when he came in because that's pretty much right when
I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, didn't he come in at like 17?
He was racing with Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just. I mean, he's in the like literally his prime. If last year wasn't his prime, like this like stretch of him winning WDC is his prime. Like, I mean,
and if he has this year locked up. Hypothetically. How many is that for him again?
If he wins this one, this is his 4th.
This will be his 4th?
Yep.
Yeah, he's chasing Lewis and Schumacher.
I imagine he would want. Now, will he break the record? I mean, obviously we'd have to like look in the future. I don't think he breaks.
We just don't know about 2026 yet. You do a little bit. And we'll probably table that.
It's just reg stuff. It doesn't tell me like who's going to be the best at making it because Newey is gone. That 2026 car is just a throw up in the air. Like I have no idea.
Right? Yeah. Nobody knows.
Yeah. No idea.
Well, with that, kind of who's going to be challenging them in McLaren?
Mm-hmm.
Probably the rest of this season for sure, and probably next season, potentially for the constructors, and maybe the driver championship next year, potentially.
That'd be nice.
But Andrea Stella extends his contract as the team principal.
Yep.
How do you feel about that move?
Feel good. I think he does a really good job. Excuse me. I didn't think there was anything wrong with our last I think there's anything wrong with their last team principal, but Stella has, obviously, he's gotten them. He hasn't gotten
There's been
them,
some
but
questionable strategy
sure. Yeah.
to argue
some
this
questionable
season,
strategy,
which
but
seems
I
to happen with
haven't-
every team
Yeah.
at least a couple times a year, right?
Yeah,
But
definitely. But he's doing a good job. He's gotten both drivers a win this year.
he has. This is true.
Lando's first and Oscar's first.
Something to be said.
I do think so. I mean, and the car is not getting worse. If anything, it's getting better each race. So, and he's not the only person behind these decisions, but he's definitely the face of them. And I think it's looking pretty good. I also like how, I say the last guy because I can't remember his name, because Zach Brown is always going to be the face of McLaren for me,
Sure.
even though he has, he's not a team principal, but he's always there front and center. I like how their little setup goes where Zach is kind of like the face, and then you have the team principal right behind him that's doing all like the work.
Hard stuff.
Yeah.
And Zach's just like soaking it all
Yeah.
up. You wanna go golf?
This is my racing company.
Let's go golf.
Let's go golfing.
Zach Brown, come on the show, buddy.
Yeah. Please.
I mean, McLaren is only 42 points behind Red Bull in the constructors.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we're saying hypothetically, if Checo's finishing that 6th, 7th, but McLaren can consistently finish 2, 3, 3, 4, I think it's realistic that
Yeah.
McLaren could win the constructors, which is
Got two winning drivers. Obviously, Sergio's a winning driver as well. But Oscar is like a force to be reckoned with. I feel like get him a good track, and he's going to
he's
He's
aggressive.
gonna outperform him.
He's aggressive.
He's aggressive. He's still rookie-ish. He's got stuff to learn. Absolutely. Lando's got to get his starts correct,
Dude,
right? But
what is wrong with that?
I don't know.
Okay, in the video game, I'm horrible at starts.
Sure, yeah.
Doing it, you got to do the clutch, blah, blah, whatever. I know how to drive a manual car, not an F1 car. But, so I get it.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. I have literally no idea, but at least I think what's good
it's not getting better,
is
though.
that
That's the thing.
it's not getting better, but for both drivers, it's very clear what they need to work on, and so they can. Whereas other drivers like Checo, who's probably got a lot more things to work on,
Drive the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Finish the race.
Just please finish the race. Please get into points.
Finishing points. And that's sad to think about. You're telling the second Red Bull car not to go back on Red Bull, and we're not, but tell the second car that just get in points, dude. What? Yeah. When the other car's winning the race.
It's not. Yeah,
that's unacceptable.
That's why I'm like. That's why I went back to that gap to Max is because that's unacceptable.
Yeah, it is unacceptable.
You're in a Red Bull. You're in a literal rocket.
And that's what I mean. I think you're right. I think 2025. It's a different driver. He's still with Red Bull, but at Racing Bulls probably.
Yeah, that's.
Or he's. Can you move? So if they signed him, God dang it, I'm going down the rabbit hole, and then we're gonna move on.
It's okay.
But if you sign, they signed Checo to the deal, right? Can they put him in a reserve driver role on that same deal and sign somebody else?
I remember. I think this is something we touched on a little bit.
Did we?
I don't know if
that's a possibility or if that's how that works.
That's 100% a possibility. It just depends on what the contract
is the money
says.
the same?
They probably got to pay him for what that contract is.
I'm sure part of it's guaranteed.
I mean, they got Danny.
I feel like F1 contracts are real.
Yeah, they paid Danny a ton for being a reserve driver, so I imagine they can do the same thing with Checo if they really wanted to. I think
which wouldn't be a bad move and bring one of them up and put Liam in the whatever.
That would be so nice. I think, unfortunately, I don't know if Liam is getting a spot next year.
I think
Checo's probably going to take one of those spots because I imagine he wants to stay in the game.
So that actually leads me into our last topic, kind of. Let's talk about Liam really quick because if he doesn't get a seat next year, how does that change the course of his career? Because I think he's only signed through 2025 as the reserve. I thought I read somewhere, I could be completely wrong. But let's say he is, right? Yeah. And he doesn't have a seat in 2025. So now he's looking for a contract heading into 2026. Is there even a seat available at that point for him, you think?
Yeah.
Is a lower tier team going to take a shot at that point? If
Liam?
Red Bull hasn't?
Oh, I mean, I just feel like there are so many drivers and so many, I hate to say it, better options, more experienced options than Liam. People that have actually driven the car for full seasons.
And that's what Checo is going for.
Over. Yeah.
His experience.
Exactly. And I think any team, unfortunately, would probably pick Checo over Liam just because he has the experience.
I probably would.
Yeah.
As much as I was just hating on Checo for the last 20 minutes.
So we're in this like I said, yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. He's got the experience. He knows how to drive the car. He's not going to cost you. I mean, he's going to cost you millions, but he's not going to cost you millions upon millions of damage. So Red Bull is, like you said, in such a weird space where you have two drivers at V-Carb who are like, maybe they can make it at Red Bull. Maybe. You have Checo, who's not making it at Red Bull. So you had to swap him in for another driver that might not be able to perform as well as him. And then you got Liam, who can't get a spot but deserves a spot. And you got, I think his name is Isaac Hadjar in F2, who's doing really well.
He's having a good season.
Like,
yeah.
If it comes
good job on the name. I think that is perfect.
V-Carb needing an extra driver, do they take Liam or do they take him? So it's such a weird
this season it's Liam
where, like,
for sure.
V-Carb has the pick of their litter and Red Bull is like there's like a bouncer at the gate. Like who knows who can be let into that seat.
Dude,
it's so weird.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
that's gonna be tough.
excited.
That's why I'm saying, does Liam end up not having a seat, ended up being a career reserve?
He might. I mean, we see,
which is crazy.
Which
like,
is unfortunate.
Is that a thing?
We saw. I'm losing his name. Last year he raced with AlphaTauri for half the season and he got booted. De Vries. We saw De Vries. He was like a career-long reserve driver for the Mercedes kind of family, and then he got moved into that spot. He lasted half a year.
Yeah, he did not play well with
history is to repeat themselves. Like, obviously, you got onto a Red Bull team, V-Carb or AlphaTauri at that team. If you don't perform, minus Checo, you're out. Like,
but I mean,
simply put,
we're in agreement. So you're not putting Liam in the Red Bull next year.
That would be crazy. I would be very surprised if they put Liam in a Red Bull over Yuki or Danny.
Or Danny, that's what I mean.
That would be insane. That would be crazy. So if one of those V-Carb drivers get that seat, Liam is probably getting the V-Carb seat.
I would think so.
Unless for some reason Isaac just continues to have a crazy good F2 season and they consider him.
That's tough. Because he's really young too. I think he's like 18 or 17.
He is he's like really the young. Definition of a driver that needs to be in the V-Carb or like the Red Bull sister team.
You think so, huh?
Oh, 100%. Like if he's doing so good, like they want him. I'm sure they want him in the V-Carb. Right?
Is he leading F2 in points? I can't remember. I know he is doing very well.
I just know
the name's very
really
familiar to me.
I just know he's doing really well. I'm not sure if he's leading or not. But yeah, I would obviously hope Liam gets another chance. He got
he is leading.
He is leading.
He's leading by like 34 points.
Jeez. Yeah, Zandvoort is 36. Another Zandvoort is actually the first race that he took part in last year. Because that was the same race that was the same weekend that Danny got his injury.
Right.
So he had to step out. Yeah, it would be man. It's such a weird situation. There's like too many drivers for V-Carb and not enough drivers for Red Bull.
And I'm starting to think we're not going to know the Red Bull seat until the season's done.
I don't think so.
We're just not going to know.
Yeah.
And technically right now there is no Red Bull seat open. We're talking like there is. Technically there's not. There's a V-Carb seat open, which is where we could see Liam. But I don't know.
To kind of bring Tyler kind of bring through me for a little bit. Maybe Checo retires at the end of the year. Maybe it's they make it a big PR thing.
Nah. Unless they're like,
if he's retiring, it's because they're giving him a ton of money.
I was just saying, unless Red Bull's like, here, buddy, either you retire or you're out of the seat. But you can come out and say that you're retiring, and we're cool with that.
If you retire right now, we will give you the car.
yeah, right.
As a retirement gift.
Crashes it on the way out. Alpine seat. Gasly's partner. We're thinking Jack. Is it Doohan?
Yeah. So we said it was either I had mentioned it's more than likely Doohan. Possible other option is for me is going to be Mick Schumacher.
Oh, that's right. There was that dark horse too. Yeah. I forget Mick's still out there.
Yep. And that's only because of this weird relationship that Toto has with Alpine that I don't understand.
Mick in the Red Bull 2025.
I don't know what that is, but he got Ocon that seat, so it history could repeat itself. But I think they should give it to Doohan. He's the one that's been testing the car. It just makes sense that he gets put into it.
100%. No, I agree with that. I think that's exactly what we're going to see. A seat that's now kind of becoming more of a question mark. But now I was reading rumors this morning that were kind of saying that Sauber's kind of at the point now that they have to either go with Bottas or Zhou for their second seat at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You almost have to, just for at least next season.
Yep. I kind of expected one of them to get retained anyway. After hearing that Sainz wasn't coming aboard, I was like, well, it's like the driver ranking is so limited. And if they do get a contract up, do they stay for Audi?
I don't think so. I think if it's Bottas or Zhou, Zhou. I'm saying Zhou. Wow,
That's okay.
Zhou.
Everyone does.
I think if it's one of those, it's just for 2025. Like seriously, unless you want to be really nice to Bottas. But there's some former Dutch driver today that came out and it's on my other computer, that came out and said something about how he thinks that Bottas is just taking up space and how he needs to pretty much retire and I'm like, what? I mean,
crazy.
Like, yes, he hasn't done anything this year, but neither is Zhou.
The Sauber is a bad
Neither is the car.
Right now.
Dude.
I think. I mean, you put Bottas in like a really like probably the worst car from the best car. Like it's, he's only going to be
the
able
best
to
car
do
at the
so
time
good.
for sure. He left
100%.
Yeah, for sure. So who do you go with then if it's between the two?
Bottas, if you want the experience and you want someone to, because you got Nico. Nico's already a veteran, right?
But like, are you treating Nico like the number one and try to, play as a team for 2025 to prepare for 2026? So therefore, maybe you sign Bottas to a multi-year.
So now remembering that Nico is there, Nico's there. He's the veteran. So I would say Bottas if you want more experience and you want probably better position. But Joe, if you want the money, I think, because I think he brings in a lot of money for that team.
Sure. That's right. Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Or putting on my tinfoil hat, you get Mick. You get Mick in there. Yeah,
I knew it.
Mick in there. You got a German team, 2 German drivers, and a I don't know, Oliver Oaks. I think he's British.
I mean, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
No, but that is a good point. Maybe they do give Mick a shot for 2025. See if that's who they want to sign.
Maybe. I mean, I think Mick would be funny enough, even though he's just a reserve driver. Mick would be like a 2026 contract in my fantasy tinfoil hat. But yeah, that seat, I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be one of the current drivers. I just don't know which one they're going to go with. It is tough. It would suck if Bottas did not get picked. But I can understand why
Bottas to Mercedes.
I'm
just kidding.
That's another seat that's still open.
I know.
They have not.
That's the last seat that we got to talk about. But
oh my gosh,
I do feel like Antonelli. I mean, we've been talking about him all year. It's pretty much bound to happen. But the comment after the one race that he won sticks with me. Like I just
doesn't feel like he's ready.
know if I feel like I'm ready or whatever. I'm like, there's your answer. Like for me. Right, then leave him at F2 for another year and make sure. Or are they afraid, like Tyler always brought up, are they afraid he's going to get poached?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's tough. But you do have Bottas maybe lurking out there. That could be a great number 2 to George, maybe.
Yeah.
On a Mercedes car that's getting better.
Yeah, that's so interesting. We were talking before the app started about how like most things have like,
settled down now. And now we're like,
looking ahead, we're like, oh my gosh, there's still so much that has to be announced. A lot of it we kind of know what's going to happen, but like there's still so much unknown. Yeah, so I mean, if for some reason Antonelli doesn't get brought up, it's got to be Bottas and the Mercedes.
At this point,
right?
that is the only person I would consider, unless Vettel's going to be like, hey, like not Mick. Not Mick. No, I'm gonna not Mick Schumacher.
He's the reserve driver, right? So it only like makes sense. The thing is, like, I'm not saying Mick is not first pick for any of these spots, in my opinion, whatsoever. But there are connections to each of them that could be made.
Cool. I'm signing Mick in the Merc, and then I'm going to switch him and Carlos immediately.
I mean, I sound like the biggest Mick Schumacher fan this episode, which is crazy. But like, there are like, you see, I told you though, tinfoil, like you can see this map with all the red lines there.
Kev, we need to get a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I'm actually
shout out Kev, by the way.
Yeah, I'll make a tinfoil hat of one of these.
You should, and then you should put it on. And you're going to have a tinfoil hat moment.
There was actually a moment, I think, right before the break where I was very considering wrapping one of my hats in tinfoil.
You should and bring it.
I will.
Yes.
I will definitely bring those and have more of those crazy moments.
Done.
Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that extra Merc seat. I think it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense and it doesn't make sense that Antonelli gets it, but like, what other choice do you have right now?
I think in my fantasy land, and then we'll close out our summer break recap here. But I think in my fantasy land, I'd love to see Bottas in it, just to see if he can still perform at that level, and see if he could help George maybe get to that next level or not. I don't know, because I think, God, this is going to open up a can of worms really quick. I'm not sure how committed Mercedes is to George long term. Like, they seem like they are right now. Are they committed to George for 2025? Absolutely. They're all in. Chips, But he's only signed through 2025. I think he could get another contract from Merc, but past that, it would depend on performance, obviously. But does he even get that next contract from Merc? Do you think they're fully committed to George Russell heading into 2026?
Absolutely, 100% they are. There is no way George is not racing for Mercedes. I'll even go one further. There's no way he's not racing for Mercedes in 2027 even. Okay. He's there for a while. He's got to be. He's been driving the car now.
They're grooming him for a minute.
They have.
He was at Williams for a minute.
Yeah. He's been at Mercedes now for 2 years, right?
At least.
He knows the car. He's now performed. Last year, he was definitely the second driver last year.
For sure.
He's performing this year.
Yeah, he is.
He is not. He's not going anywhere. He is the person they need in that seat. No matter who his second driver is, Bottas, they need Russell still, because Bottas, what if it isn't the car in Sauber? What if he's just
dead in the water? Boom, Antonelli.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I actually weirdly think Antonelli is probably the better pick, just because they can look forward with him. Whereas with Bottas, they're just kind of counting their days a little bit,
So real quick before we depart, or not depart, but move on. If it is Antonelli, what would your realistic expectation be for him in that Mercedes car, not knowing how the car is going to perform in 2025 compared to the Ferrari, the McLaren, and the Red Bull? We have no idea.
Yeah.
Where would you like to see him finish, let's say, in the driver points by the end of the season if they go Antonelli? I know this is way too early to be talking about this because he's not in the seat, but just
knowing like Mercedes' track record and how bad they do early season recently, and how they kind of bring it back late season, I would expect him by end of season, he should be at least eighth.
Okay, I had seventh in my brain.
Yeah.
So we're close.
I just think I'm thinking about obviously he's going to get a little time to prep for it, but I'm thinking like Oliver Behrman, he jumped in for a race and he was in a Ferrari, so he got points, but he had to really fight for those points.
I can't jump on that bandwagon yet.
Oliver Behrman?
Yeah, I'd like to see more from him. Obviously, great race. It was awesome. It was awesome to see. I was really excited. Obviously solidified him getting the seat.
Yeah.
He's with Haas now, right? That's another team I should jump on the bandwagon. I should just get everybody's hat. Might as well. But I don't know. That's another rabbit hole. Oh my God, I'm gonna go diving down.
I love talking about this stuff though. It's super fun. So yeah, eighth is what I expect. He should be consistently getting points. Doesn't have to be a lot of points, but he should be getting points
for sure.
And start of the season, next year entirely, Russell will be his target. We need to see how he performs compared to Russell, not the rest of the field. Let Russell set the standard for the Mercedes.
Even as a brand new rookie coming in, brand new,
you can't a brand new rookie. You don't
compare him to different car, right? You don't compare him to Oliver Behrman or Jack Doohan if he's in a car. The other rookies of that year. Or is that unfair to them because it's a different car?
I guess you definitely do.
If he's finishing worse than them, that's a problem.
Point. No, that's an incredible point. You definitely do need to compare the rookies together because, and then obviously keeping their car performance in mind, right? So if Jack Doohan, or rather even Oliver, if Oliver starts getting more points than Antonelli, that's bad.
That's a really, red flag.
Really bad.
Yeah, not good.
But I only say that George is the standard because he is now that George, what he races, this is crazy to say, and it makes me want to open so many more cans of worms.
No, don't do it.
I won't. I'm still gonna say it, but I won't open any of those cans. Next year, George is the fastest Mercedes can go. Just straight up. He is the standard. So whatever he does, Antonelli is going to be judged against that just to see how much he has to grow.
As a number one driver, I would hope so.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the
that's
team,
just it.
right?
No, there's no
But
more Lewis, right? And I think right now George and Lewis are already kind of there. It's nice to see that they're already right there with each other, so we know next season it should be pretty close to what the best Mercedes could do is, obviously with the driver in mind.
Right.
So, he's going to be judged against George. I don't think he's going to be judged by the rest of the field except for the rookies, just to see
100%.
how.
I wouldn't compare him to Max. I wouldn't compare him to like
not.
Charles Leclerc. Like it's just not. No, it's not
and
fair.
I would only compare him to rookies to a certain point. Like just like a quick temp check on if we made the right choice. Then it's just growing and getting the best performance out of your car as you can.
Because they're not just making this choice all willy nilly. They've been planning this for years. Down the line they've been grooming them. Like they already know who they've wanted in the car. They've done all the research. They've done their homework. Like so that's a good point.
I might even retract my statement a little bit and say he should almost only be compared to George because he's in the Mercedes. Right,
that's where the car makes the difference.
Exactly. So
and
if the car somehow becomes a Williams, and the other teams go up, right? He's only going to be as good as George can be. That's why I say
Sure.
Yeah.
So if the other rookies, let's say, are finishing in front of George as well, that's a problem for sure with the car.
For Mercedes,
for the car, and then if they're finishing in front of Antonelli and nowhere near George, now that's a problem that Antonelli's having.
Yeah.
I mean, if Bierman's finishing in front of Antonelli, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. But again, it just depends on how the car's doing. I don't think there's any.
I don't think there's gonna be that much drop off. Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be that much drop off. But like, do we see Jack Doohan climb up there? I mean,
the Alpine's been so weird. It's like it wants to be good on some days and other days it doesn't.
Alpine's unpredictable.
Yeah,
straight up, it's so unpredictable. Yay, Gasly. Anyway,
I love F1, dude.
Oh God,
I love this sport so much.
Yeah, with that, let's just wrap our summer break, kind of a recap of summer break, and we'll head to our Dutch preview where Joe's obviously got his masterpiece.
Let's do it.
We called it. And with that, we have the Dutch Grand Prix preview. Actually, I think what is it? Is it the Heineken something or other?
I got the name.
Oh, he's got it. You know what, Joe? Why don't you just take it away?
Yeah, we're heading to the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix. This year's Grand Prix is called the Formula One Heineken Dutch Grand Prix 2024. Nice and easy.
That is simple.
Got the name, the year.
What is Emirates? Emirate? How do you say the
Emirate?
Emirates? Emirates?
Arab Emirate.
Emirates, okay. Yeah. I don't know why that Emirates Airways, blah blah blah. Yeah,
it's the Monzago. Yeah. All right. So talking about the Dutch Grand Prix, just some fun facts per usual. Zandvoort is the, if anyone doesn't know, is the track with all of those banking corners.
NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly. So in lieu, actually kind of compared to that, the final corner features an 18-degree banking, which is almost double the number seen at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Wow. Well, Indy's very flat. Yeah, Indy's very flat. For a like, I can't even call it an oval. It's more like a rectangle because they got four big old turns.
Oh, okay.
Now the road course obviously is a little different inside, but if you're just doing the speedway, that doesn't surprise me. Those turns are really banked, but those Indy cars still send them.
I wonder how it compares. So it's like the Indianapolis banking is not as much as like another like Daytona.
Oh no,
not at all.
No.
So I wonder how
Daytona
those compare.
Is extremely banked.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Can imagine the nightmare setup on a car like a stock car for Indy, and then you go to like Daytona or something. I can't imagine. Completely different. Just like every track's different for F1 too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So since the Dutch GP has been back on the calendar, it's only been 3 years. Max has taken all of the pole positions and has won all of the races. So is this the weekend to dethrone the king at his castle?
No.
It was a little cheesy, but we'll get into it. So again, starting grid, Max, followed by Lando and then George, with a surprise Alex Albon in fourth in the Williams. Very interesting qualifying session for him. He got up to fourth. This is a very interesting race. We'll kind of get into it. Off the line on dry tires while the rain starts to drizzle onto the track. We saw everyone keep it in one piece through the first corner and through most of the lap. Max already with a decent head start on Lando. From fourth, Alonso made it past both. From fifth, Alonso makes it past both Albon and Russell in a banking hairpin of turn 3. By the end of lap 1, the drizzle, the starting line turned into what looks like a complete downpour. Everyone passes the pit lane, but at the end of that lap, a couple drivers finally decide to take the pit stop for inters to help fend off that rain. While some of our runners pit, Alonso overtakes Norris on the wet track for second place. This is a huge mix of strategies throughout the entire field. We saw some people decide to stay out and hope for the rain to clear, while others continued to pit to fend off the rain. At this point, however, the inters were much faster. Perez, who made the earlier inter choice, passed everyone ahead on the dries to take first position. By lap 6, majority of the field had switched to inters. Soft runners and those who took the late pit stop were paying for it. Perez was still in first, with Zhou in second, who was up 13 places, just again based on pit strategy. And Verstappen climbing back to third, 13 seconds away from Perez. He gets past Zhou on lap 7. Short bit of rain, very heavy rain, but short bit, and this track dries up very quickly. So we get DRS enabled back on lap 11, and we're pitting for slicks again to begin. Max pits for those slicks on the next lap, having made over 10 seconds to Perez within those 6 laps. Perez pits on the next lap, giving Max the lead of the race while he's inside the pit lane. Everyone is now on softs except for Zhou, who's on mediums. On lap 16, Logan found his natural resting place into the wall, bringing out the full safety car.
His natural
racing place, yeah. Leclerc retired the car in lap 4. We jump now. Leclerc retired the car on lap 43 after taking some damage at the start of the race. And on lap 49, Alonso has some pit stop troubles, being held up for 8.3 seconds. This allows Sainz ahead. He fights for the last podium position on lap 52 as he takes back from his fellow Spaniard. On lap 62, we find the rain coming down hard once again. All the drivers switch to inters fairly quickly. 63, Sergio Perez double front locks at the end of the starting straight. He spins, hits the wall, and pushes the barriers back slightly. Doesn't look like he takes any damage here except for the emotional damage of losing that second position. Later in the same lap...
Emotional damage.
Yep, emotional damage. Same lap, Zhou is seen at the exact same spot Perez hit the wall, except Zhou is completely buried into it, ending his race and bringing out the red flag.
Unbelievable.
At the restart, lap 67 of 72, everyone is on inters. Perez is given a penalty for speeding in the pit lane earlier in the race, so he will need to get 5 seconds ahead of Gasly to keep the final podium position, but he cannot make up that time. Max crosses 3.4 seconds ahead of second place, which was Alonso, after a hectic home Grand Prix. So we got a Verstappen, Alonso, Gasly, Perez pushed to 4th for his penalty, and then Sainz, making Max's 9th consecutive win.
Boom.
That matched the record for Vettel.
Oh, really?
It did.
Interesting. I got something for you.
Yeah.
That's going to really mess with stuff. I looked up the weather.
Is it going to be rainy?
It is going to be rainy on Friday.
Okay.
And a little bit on Saturday. It is, how do I say it? Zandvoort, Netherlands.
Yep.
It is, let's see how, 50% chance kind of Saturday. Fridays probably won't happen.
But Friday's only practice, so.
But Saturday, Saturday we got 50% rain. Yeah, Sunday looks good though. Sunday looks good.
That's too bad.
I know, it would have made it a little bit more interesting.
I mean, that race last year was a bit crazy. It just was dry and then rainy and then dry again and then
that just really throws a wrench into like any strategy. Now I'm sure like we mentioned, I'm sure you have plan A, B, C, D, E for all these other things in the race. Like
yep.
Like coaching a football game. It's 3rd and 4, and I'm going to call this play for sure on 3rd and 4. You got your list of strategies.
Yeah, and the weather just made it really interesting because, like I said, this track dries so quickly that cars will just we should just wait out this rain, drive slowly on these softs, and then when it comes to softs, we don't have to pit again. But it was so wet that they had to pit. So it makes us some very interesting strategy calls. I think some of the people caught out was McLaren. Lando started in 2nd, but I think he finished in 7th or something like that, just because he stayed on softs too long. So very, very interesting in terms of strategy. Too bad it's not going to be a wet race, but I still think it should be an interesting one.
I think interesting to say the least. It's definitely going to be interesting. I don't want to get into predictions quite yet. I do think Max will win the race again. It's just spot, man. It's just a spot. Checo. Where do you realistically see him finishing this week? I would like to think in points.
I don't think I actually think this is not a comeback weekend, but I definitely think he's going to do better than he has been
Bounce back
doing.
weekend, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe he's like top 6, probably. That's what I'm
I hope
guessing.
so. That's what I'm saying. He's got to finish at 6th, and then if I'm going to give him pity points, it's going to be 7th. I don't know. We got to see it from him this weekend. Can the McLarens, can Lando, or Oscar, really, can one of the McLarens actually catch Max here? Is it actually a realistic possibility?
It's going to be so tough. At this point last year, the McLarens weren't the best car, but they were getting better. And Max still cleaned up here easily. So I agree. I don't think there's any way Max doesn't win. If someone else does win instead of Max, that would be wild.
Yeah, I would think so.
But
changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a McLaren car.
Yeah. Oh,
I think if like George or Lewis somehow pulled it off, or Charles, which I don't think is gonna happen, but if like a Merc somehow won, it'd be like, oh, okay. But like if McLaren beats Red Bull at Max's track, like I don't know. It makes 2025 more interesting right off the bat for me, which is already going to be more interesting.
After the summer break, like it's just like a tonal shift, right? The end of the season is going to be different.
Yeah,
think about the DTS story.
This race would be, this would be a tone setter though. If McLaren
100%.
comes out of break and beats Max at his own track, that is a tone setter. That is a tone setter. We are in for a ridiculous second half.
That would be so crazy. That being said, though, Max is very good at this track. I don't think he's going to lose it.
There is that.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us? So Cole obviously is not here with us tonight, but he did give us his predictions. And so did Tyler. We're going to keep Tyler in the standings just in case he's able to return for us by the end of the season. So why don't you go ahead with Cole's predictions?
Yeah.
Again, this is just for the podium. There's no bonus points this week. We'll go back to the bonus points next week.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is just straight up podium. Who we got?
Yep. Cole's prediction is Hamilton, Norris, and George.
Which is wild.
No, wild. Max is not on that podium.
I wonder, did I tell him? Is it in there? Did I say it's a Dutch GP? No. Hey, that's up to him for not looking. Well, I'm sorry. Lewis, who and who?
Lewis, Lando, and George.
Lando and George. Yeah, that's insane. He better hope Lando wins. And that at least George gets podium or Lewis. Joe, what is your podium going to be?
My podium is obviously Max. And then just kind of throwing out 2, competitors, Lando and George.
Lando and George.
Yep. I was thinking about, I think initially I had Lewis on there, but he had a little bit of trouble last year, I think here. So I'm just going to go George, just hope for the best.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Tyler, in no particular order again. However, interestingly enough, he sent Lando first. But Lando, Max, Charles.
Ferrari coming
Which is interesting. It would be interesting if Ferrari does he know something we don't? I did not see anything about any upgrades for Ferrari coming out of break.
Neither. They're falling behind and they didn't look strong this point last season, so I think they're probably still going to be third team on the grid.
Third team on the grid?
Behind or third or fourth team.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm thinking they're fourth. I think they're
well, you got Checo, who isn't,
I know he's not really. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
They're
If
like third and a half.
If Checo can do his job for me, the rest of this season, beat Ferrari is doing your job for me for Checo. If you can at least beat Ferrari, but oh my God, yeah, Checo.
Yep.
God, it annoys me. I'm going to go with Max, Lando, Oscar. I think McLaren.
Like that. I like that.
I know. That's why I was waiting for you to say it. And I was like, darn it, I'm gonna have to change it up to make it interesting. But I'm glad you did it.
Had a really good last race. I think we just gotta cool off a little bit.
Yeah, you guys gotta cool off. I haven't been choosing them, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my risk.
Yeah.
As it stands for our standings heading into this race, Cole's actually leading. But he's not here, so we don't count that. Tyler comes in second, 1 point behind Cole. He's not here, we don't count that. And then me, 2 points behind Tyler, so I'm in first. No, I'm in third. And then Joe's bringing it up, but he's only 4 points behind me at 21.
Oh God, that's awful.
I said only.
Like you guys are like 1 point and then 2 points.
Hey, you got to chip away. You got to focus on me first before you go step up to the big dog, Cole.
I used to be at the top.
That's true. That's true. I was taking risks early, and now look at me. Well, I'm only in third too, but. Oh my
I'm
God!
the Ferrari of this podium prediction.
Yeah, for sure.
Strong out the gate and falling behind.
You're gonna need some upgrades.
Actually, I'm more accurately, I'm probably the Aston Martin of the
Aston Martin, just consistently
super strong at the front, and then just consistently awful this season.
Consistently awful.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts for the Dutch GP here?
I'm just really happy to be back. I'm looking forward to F1. I had a blast talking to F1 with you today.
For sure.
A lot of Checo talk. We're going to be watching him very, very closely.
We're on a Checo watch right now. I think we're on a Checo watch until the beginning of next season, or at least till off season, and see if there's any rumblings this off season.
I mean,
which I think it's going to be quiet immediately.
Probably quiet pretty close to the end. But I mean, last off season, Hamilton moved to Ferrari, so
I know, and that was
can happen off season.
Yeah. So on the Checo watch for the rest of this season, but obviously, thanks for being here today, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have Cole back with us next week as we recap the Dutch GP. With that, obviously, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to the banter. And we'll see you next week on Fast Laps.
See you.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the Boys.